It's Monday, October 9. In the headlines, we take a look at education transformation and $6 million for drain cleaning in Falmouth, Trelawney. In business news, we have your usual market updates and more. Regionally, Trinidad and Tobago's manufacturers consider ways to invest in Guyana's wood industry. Internationally, USA pledges military support to Israel in the war against Hamas. In sports, Windies women lose first ODI against Australia. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. We start the week with some good news. As the government continues to work towards Vision 2030, the transformation of the education system is one of the pillars of that system. Here's a look at some of the ways the Ministry of Education and Youth has been working towards this goal.
Children, teachers, administrators, mixed with well-resourced classrooms, adequate tools, and a curriculum that caters to 21st century learning are the perfect ingredients for a successful academic year. Within that context, the government, through the Ministry of Education and Youth, is laying the foundation for a productive year ahead.
We're focusing on improving the infrastructure of our schools, governance, the legislative framework, the expansion of the use of information communication technology in schools, teacher training and professional development, among others.
Other improvements will be seen in the safety and security of our schools, in the installation of closed-circuit television CCTV cameras at the entrances of primary schools. At a recent tour of several institutions, Portfolio Minister Favour Williams assessed the school's readiness for the new term. Her findings: stakeholders are ready and raring to go. Minister Williams also shared how the ministry will ensure that the nation's children are prepared for the digital world.
We are committed to ensuring that our students, our teachers, and our schools have the enabling environment for the rapid build-out of the 21st century skills that are so required. Some of these include critical thinking, figuring things out, finding solutions to problems, creativity, seeing concepts in a different light, which leads to innovation, collaboration, getting students to work together, teaching them how to achieve compromise and get the best possible results from solving a problem, and communication, how to convey ideas effectively among different personality types in their various classes and communities. This commitment applies to all schools, public and private.
One-stop driver. Students in queue at the Transport Centre in Kingston also had the opportunity to meet and greet the minister, who presented them with gift vouchers before sending them off to school. As Minister Williams closed out her tour, she paused to remind students that they matter.
Each of you possesses unique talents and abilities that have the potential to change the world. It is our responsibility to provide you, as the future leaders of the nation, with the tools and opportunities to strive.
Students, enjoy the new school year. Go for your goals and be your best self.
$6 million has been allocated for drain cleaning in Falmouth, Trelawney. Minister of Local Government and Community Development, Desmond McKenzie, made the disclosure while visiting the parish on Friday. Noting the significance of the move, especially with the dengue outbreak, Minister McKenzie emphasized the urgency of the situation, pointing out that the government intends to respond in a positive way. He says they're doing this by allocating the necessary resources and collaborating with stakeholders and agencies to combat the mosquito-borne illness and safeguard public health. The Grange Hill Health Centre in Westmoreland is set to become a state-of-the-art facility with a planned injection of $5 million over the next 5 years. Colleen Mears, founder and director of the Mears Family Office, has officially adopted the health centre with plans to invest the funds. He says it feels fulfilling to give back to the healthcare sector and the community that raised him for many years. Mr. Mears, who is also founder and former CEO of Dollar Financial Services Limited, is quoted saying, "Every year we will put in $1 million that will go towards the facility, making the clinic more hospitable to patients and to the staff, and ensuring that the necessary equipment is in place, whether it is the dental department or any other aspect of the medical facility." End quote. Time now for the business report with Danita Rodney.
Welcome to the Business Report. I'm Danita Rodney. With this week's Young Boss, he is using the art of music to educate and entertain, or as he says, edutain. He is the CEO of Aoki Productions, Andre Blackwood.
Andre Blackwood, CEO of Aoki Productions, Director for Voices for Jamaica Today Foundation. Aoki is an edutainment record label. We started roughly in 2016. We record music. We definitely want to enter in other spaces or other realms of entertainment like music production. Author, I want to be an author, I want to write books, want to release screenplays eventually. So right now we're at the music production promotion side of things in terms of entertainment. So I've been in entertainment like basically all of my life, so literally surrounded by it. Grew up in Fletcher's Land where, you know, people like Gregory Isaacs, Dennis Brown, Ding Dong, Pampute are from. And it just became like a calling. Like I knew I wanted to entertain people. And I started by promoting events. So I was a part of the Fletcher's Land Police Youth Club. We do, you know, small events like water parties and stuff like that, socials. And I realized I had a knack for it. So it started from there. It's been really good. Actually more positive than I thought it would be. So for like December, we did an event in Fletcher's Land where we teamed up with a number of artists and persons within the industry to focus on gender-based violence, as well as to launch the record label. So we did different topics as well, including the business side of music, brought in experts to come and talk about, you know, what it is to start a record label, the different aspects of getting your name registered, getting your business registered. And the response was really overwhelming, really positive, and it's been great. Whew. Self-motivation. And actually learning that failing is really a positive. So you might want things to work out in one way and it doesn't work out, and actually your path is basically shifted towards something better. So that has been it for me. Well, I actually thought about this before coming here. I didn't want to sound cliche, but it really it really speaks to knowing what you want and having like a winning spirit to know that, all right, things are not going to be exactly how you plan them, and you just have to keep on pushing on and have to basically figure out and keep the mindset as to why you started and what it is that you want to achieve, and definitely believe in your dream as to what you want to accomplish. So you can email us at iokiproductions321@gmail.com or follow us on Instagram at ioki_productions, or even just look us up on Facebook, Ioki Productions Limited.
Now for your market updates. In foreign exchange trading for Friday, October 6, the US dollar sold for an average of $155.47. The Canadian dollar ended trading at $114.59. The pound sterling traded for $190.24, and the euro sold for $167.77. In JSE trading, the JSE index declined by over 1,281 points. The junior market index advanced by over 17 points. The combined market index declined by over 1,046 points, and the All Jamaican Composite Index declined by over 613 points. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 95 stocks, of which 37 advanced, 39 declined, and 19 traded firm. Stocks advanced for 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited, Access Financial Services Limited, and AMG Packaging and Paper Company Limited. Stocks declined for 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited, Verbal Preference, Barita Investments Limited, and Blue Power Group Limited. Trading firm were Carreras Limited, Epley Limited, and G West Corporation Limited ordinary shares. The overall volume leaders were Trans Jamaican Highway Limited with over 2 million units, Jamaica Boilers Group with over 1 million units, and Wigton Wind Farm Limited ordinary shares with over 700,000 units. In regional stocks, in Trinidad and Tobago, Calypso Macro Index Fund posted over 4,000 shares. On the Barbados Stock Exchange, Insurance Corporation of Barbados Limited was the volume leader with 6,500 shares. They were followed by First Caribbean International Bank and Emera Deposit Receipt, which traded 577 and 5 shares respectively. In regional business, the Tobago Business Chamber believes the TAH has not allocated enough money for infrastructural development. More in this report.
The Tobago Business Chamber believes the island's 2024 budget did not allocate enough money for infrastructural development. Chamber Chairman Martin George, weighing in on the budget that was presented on Monday, said most of the allocation will go towards recurrent expenditure, leaving little behind.
The fact that you see recurrent expenditure taking up at least about 88% of the budgetary allocation, that indicates that all you are doing is spending money on wages, salaries, expenses, bills, paying, rentals, and all things that really are just your essentials.
George reiterated a call for the Foreign Investment Act to be repealed in order to help Tobago and ease forex issues.
If we in Trinidad and Tobago are saying that there is a shortage of foreign exchange, and you have legislation which now cripples and stifles any attempt at direct foreign investment in Tobago, then that clearly makes no sense. That legislation needs to be repealed.
Tobago was allocated $2.585 billion in the 2024 budget.
In international business, U.S. stocks rallied, led by technology shares to a sharply higher close as investors assessed the jobs report that showed U.S. hiring rose broadly in September with slowing wage growth.
The Dow gained nearly 0.9%. The S&P 500 added about 1.2%, snapping a 4-week losing streak, and the Nasdaq soared 1.6%. Data from the Labor Department showed the economy added 336,000 jobs last month, the largest rise since January and nearly double economists' forecasts. That sent stocks tumbling until it didn't, with fears of another rate hike from the Federal Reserve perhaps subsiding, says Adam Phillips, Managing Director of Portfolio Strategy at EP Wealth Advisors.
The Fed has more information that they are going to need to digest between now and the next FOMC meeting, specifically the CPI report that comes out next week and the employment cost index, which comes out on October 31st. That is their preferred measure of wage inflation. It's total compensation, so it gives them a broader view. It's only produced quarterly, so it's not as timely, but that's what they prefer to look at rather than the average hourly earnings report that came in today's jobs report. So I'd say it's probably too early to jump to conclusions, but I'd say if I had to put a bet on it, I'd say that they're probably done.
The jobs report also showed a moderation in wages, which may have been because most of the jobs added were in lower-paying industries. Tech stocks soared, with Apple, Microsoft, and Meta platforms all posting strong gains Friday. And ExxonMobil shares slid more than 1.5% after sources told Reuters that the U.S. oil producer was in advanced talks to acquire Pioneer Natural Resources. Pioneer stock jumped nearly 10.5%.
In market data for oil prices surged more than 3% as military clashes between Israel and the Palestinian Islamist group Hamas ignited fears of a wider conflict in the Middle East. Brent crude was up $2.70 to $87.28 a barrel, while West Texas Intermediate crude was at $85.57, up $2.78. And that was the business report on PBCJ. I'm Danita Rodney.
In regional news, Trinidadian manufacturers are open to relocating to Guyana to establish partnerships and enhance the wood industry. That's the word from President of the Trinidad and Tobago Manufacturers Association, Roger Roach.
Roger Roach, the president of the Trinidad and Tobago Manufacturers Association, TTMA, recently explained that companies are finding ways to bypass exportation issues by moving to Guyana and setting up businesses. To further enhance these opportunities, he suggests these companies from the two countries combine efforts with local businesses to create a massive industry for construction and other industries.
We know that Guyana has a lot of skilled furniture manufacturers, especially in wood, because the largest export market for wood-related paint products is actually Guyana. We export a lot from Trinidad, a lot of wood products, paint products for wood to Guyana, and that's because you have a thriving cottage wood industry. And maybe we need to look at how we can enhance the investment in that industry to make it a mass producer.
He added that wood from Guyana is a premier product in Trinidad, and rather than importing the wood, questioned why not move businesses to Guyana. In doing so, the expertise from Trinidad can be utilized here. Businesses will be able to tap into manufacturing wood products rather than only exporting raw material. This paves the way for value added, an initiative that businessman Rafi Khan, who was also present during Roach's presentation, has been calling for. Roach further noted that the construction sector here is expanding as many Trinidadian companies relocate to Guyana to respond to the booming infrastructural developments.
We welcome any initiative to encourage investment in Guyana. I noticed recently, since you spoke about construction products, that ABS, which is a member of the Ansimakal Group, launched a company in Guyana, and I would assume it is the start of trading and then eventually look at the opportunities. With regards to clay blocks, which you just mentioned, we have a clay block factory in Trinidad and Tobago, but that clay block factory has a lot of excess capacity, which they can export to Guyana without making an initial investment.
Several members of the Trinidad and Tobago Manufacturers Association are in Guyana seeking out collaboration and business opportunities. The meeting was organized by Action Invest Caribbean Inc. and enabled several local and Trinidad businesses the opportunity to meet. During these discussions, both countries have acknowledged several areas where investment opportunities exist. Reporting for the newsroom, I am Lizina Yearwood.
There is concern that the consumption of poor quality foods is increasing the non-communicable disease burden in Barbados and the region. It's coming from the Director of Surveillance, Disease Prevention and Control Division of the Caribbean Public Health Agency, CARPA, Dr. Lisa Indar. She says CARPA fully supports a front-of-package labeling drive, noting that it is the right time to set up awareness of the effects of ultra-processed products.
And there have been several conversations surrounding the urgency of introducing front-of-package warning labels in the Caribbean with a wide cross-section of the society in attendance. There have been progress. I encourage everyone to go to the HC webpage, sign the petition in support of Act on Facts campaign. CARPA will continue to engage with its partners to ensure front-of-package warning labels become the standard as we all work together to bring about a healthier, safer Caribbean people.
We are only too aware that obesity is a key risk factor for non-communicable diseases, the main cause of death in our region. A 2023 UNICEF report showed that in countries covered by our office for the Eastern Caribbean Area Office, between 25 and 33% of children aged 5 to 19 are overweight or obese. This is unacceptable. The impact of obesity goes well beyond the risk of NCDs. Children living with overweight and obesity may also experience psychological and psychosocial impacts, such as weight stigma, social isolation, depression, low self-esteem, and poor educational attainment.
Financial literacy in the Eastern Caribbean is very low, so finds the inaugural Financial Literacy and Financial Inclusion Survey. SKN Newsline has the details.
Financial literacy in the Eastern Caribbean is very low, so finds the inaugural Financial Literacy and Financial Inclusion Survey. Speaking at the launch event held to release the results of the survey, the Governor of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, Timothy Antoine, said the ECCB commissioned the survey because financial inclusion is a strategic priority for the bank. He addressed the results of the survey.
We have the situation of persons spending their limited income on wants while begging family, friends, and government for their needs. This latter behavior calls to mind a remarkable observation by the late Martin Luther King, who in the 1960s observed that black people were spending their limited money on their wants and then begging for their needs. I don't know, a lot has changed in the last 50 years. Against this backdrop, colleagues and friends, this survey is no ordinary survey and cannot be an academic exercise. Indeed, urgent action is needed to address financial literacy and inclusion in the ECCU.
Governor Antoine said the ECCB's Financial Literacy and Financial Inclusion Survey itself was made possible through partnerships, namely with the OECS Commission through its Project Management Unit and the World Bank-funded Caribbean Digital Transformation Project. Financial inclusion refers to access to a range of financial services, including banking, credit, and insurance, whereas financial literacy refers to the ability to understand certain financial issues and use financial skills for personal financial management, such as budgeting and investing. I'm Andre Huey for SKN Newsline.
The European Commission puts its full portfolio of development aid to Palestinians worth €691 million under review, following Saturday's surprise attack by the Palestinian armed group Hamas on Israel. Al Jazeera's Harry Fawcett tells us what this means.
That's right. That unwavering support, Darren, comes in very tangible form. For those who don't know, an aircraft carrier strike group has an aircraft carrier and several boats around it capable of firing missiles and performing other devastating functions. So there's that. You've also got additional fighter jets that have been sent to the area. The Secretary of Defense in the U.S. says that additional aid, including munitions, have been sent and will arrive in Israel over the coming days. That tells you they don't expect this conflict to be over any day soon. So the U.S. is making this commitment of deterrence to deter anyone else in the region from taking advantage of this situation and threatening Israel. They are investigating the possibility that Iran might have been involved. So far, Anthony Blinken says they don't have evidence of that. But if that were the case, that would be one of those parties that all of this is designed to deter.
This is a massive terrorist attack that is gunning down Israeli civilians in their towns, in their homes, and as we've seen so graphically, literally dragging people across the border with Gaza, including a Holocaust survivor in a wheelchair, women and children. So you can imagine the impact this is having throughout Israel, and the world should be revolted at what it's seen. We have immediately engaged our Israeli partners and allies. President Biden was on the phone with Prime Minister Netanyahu early yesterday to assure him of our full support. I was on the phone with the Israeli president, the foreign minister. The entire government has been engaged throughout the region and well beyond.
And John, so in terms of the diplomatic effort, I mean, Washington's been calling for restraint, but is it too early yet to talk about any possible U.S. role in mediation?
Well, the U.S. had been attempting to mediate between Israel and Saudi Arabia, trying to develop a new recognition of mutual recognition pact where those countries would normalize their relations. And now they find they're scrambling in crisis mode, and they are doing diplomacy. Blinken has been talking to his counterparts in the region in the Middle East and in North Africa. And yes, indeed, part of that is an effort to try to de-escalate that conflict. Another part of it is to try to see what can be done to persuade Hamas to release some of those captives that it is holding. Some are thought to be American. 4 American citizens have died in that conflict, among the many others who have as well. That's not the only U.S. interest, but that gives the U.S. a direct stake there, and they want to be deeply involved in these negotiations.
In sports, former Jamaica Basketball Association President Marland Natti is dead. Mr. Natti, who had a stroke a couple of months ago, was in the United States recuperating at a medical facility. He's described as a true servant who served the sport locally and regionally in many capacities at various levels. Current JABA President Paulton Gordon says they are contemplating naming this season's National Basketball League trophy in his honor. The West Indies women's cricket team faced 8-wicket defeat to Australia in the first one-day international at the Allen Border Field in Brisbane on the weekend.
The one-day international series between the West Indies and Australia began with a massive loss for the regional side. With captain Hayley Matthews out with an injury sustained during the T20 series, it was always an uphill task against the world champions, but the defeat with 211 balls remaining was stinging. The West Indies was sent into bat by Aussie captain Alyssa Healy, and they never got going in their innings, amassing just 83 all out in 27.3 overs. The highest score being 35 from Aaliyah Allen, while captain on the day Shemaine Campbell contributed 14. Kim Garth was the main wicket taker with 3 for 8. The chase started a bit sedately, but the hosts were never in trouble despite losing 2 wickets. They got to 87 for 2 with Healy top scoring with 38 for an impressive 8-wicket win. The second ODI begins on Wednesday at 7:35 p.m. Eastern Caribbean time. Following the match, Cricket West Indies spoke to head coach Shane Dites, and we have an audio recording of his comments.
I thought some of the things we did today were really good. I think it was a good toss to win. So I think that's what Hayley missed out today, because she saw how green the pitch was and thought she'd have a game off because it was pretty juicy. So, yeah, that was a bit disappointing, but we sent some youngsters out to give them an opportunity. And they did their best, and they're learning international cricket, so we've got a lot to learn. So obviously when you have a loss, it's usually a great opportunity to learn more. So plenty of learnings to go on. We've got a few days between now and the next game, so fair bit to do. But, you know, I know the result looks really, really bad, but, yeah, I think we're here to learn.
And that's the news on PBCJ. You can follow us on our social media platforms at PBCJamaica. Thanks for watching.